Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor, and today on this Total Wellness Tuesday show, I'm going to bring you one of my favorite tips. This alone, whether you're using digestive aids and digestive supplements or not, is going to help you tremendously when it comes to decreasing bloating, decreasing burping, gas, all things that go along with a weakened digestive system. So this one thing, when done and when done incorrectly by the majority of the people, myself included before I knew this, is that it weakens the digestive system even further during meals, which really does lead to that kind of like bloated looking stomach. So let's talk about that. This is the one thing that you should never do with meals. And the title of it is actually Never Drink This with Meals. But it's a little bit of a play on words because in general, when you're eating, you do not want to drink very much fluid. Okay, so now again, this goes against everything that we typically do, right? We have a big glass of cold water at a restaurant, or we have a few drinks, or we have a few drinks before and then during and then after the meal as well. Well, here's the thing. When you look at the digestive system, and I'm going to go into Ayurvedic medicine as well as today's state-of-the-art medicine as well, is that when your body starts to receive food into your stomach, it starts to produce its own hydrochloric acid. This is assuming you chew up the food really well, a little bit of salivary amylase, a little bit of salivary enzymes get mixed with the food. It gets moved into the stomach. About 20, 30 minutes later, your body starts producing acid. And this is a good thing. This starts to break down proteins, turns everything into like a mush, right? Well, that's hot. So acid is supposed to have a lot of heat, a lot of ability, low pH to burn up the food. Without that, it can cause bloating and cause fermentation, gas, and all these other different things. And it can even cause acid reflux because the lower esophageal sphincter, which is the bottom of the esophagus, is a muscle that stays closed in the presence of high stomach acid. However, when there's weakened stomach acid, or there's too much food in the stomach, and like anything like that can push back up the acid, that's when you start to feel that acid reflux. Okay, there's a few other reasons as well. But what happens is this: when we drink too much water, it dilutes our digestive enzymes, it dilutes our digestive stomach acid and pepsin from breaking down the food. So it takes longer to digest the food. Now, the longer the food sits in your stomach, the more chance there is for it to ferment and feed bacteria. So it's really important that we do not drink an excessive amount of water with meals. Okay, so what does exactly that mean? Well, when you look at Ayurvedic medicine, one of my teachers, who was a great doctor this was actually in Sri Lanka, his master before him taught him basically, and again, in Ayurvedic medicine, originally it was kind of handed down from generation to generation, this form of medicine taught by the high doctors over there. So what they said was this: the stomach, when eating, should be split into 4 parts, all 25%. But 2 of those 25% pieces, meaning 50% of your stomach when you're eating, that should be filled with food. 25% would then be liquid. And then 25% would be air, meaning like you're not supposed to just stuff your stomach full of food when you eat, because that, no matter what, is going to tax even the strongest digestive system. So what does that look like? Well, let's just say that you have 2 big cups full of food. All right, so you're going to chew that up during your meal, chew it up really well, and then you might take small sips during your meal of a certain beverage, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, and that would just be 1 cup, right? So it's just half of the amount of food that you're eating. I think that's just a good general place to start. However, many of my digestive clients that I work with to strengthen the digestive system, they drink very little, if any, fluid during their meal. So when do they drink their fluid? Well, the most important time to drink fluid is 30 minutes before a meal, because you do need water, you do need hydration to actually help the mucosa of the stomach, to actually prevent it from burning up the stomach wall as you start to produce stomach acid, and also for the overall production of those digestive juices. So that's really important. So 30 minutes before a meal, definitely feel free to have a nice glass of water. And the other time is then at least 1 hour post-meal, you can go back to drinking and consuming your water. By then, stomach acid has started to work. I would wait a little longer, but anyway, stomach acid starts to work and it's burning and breaking down the food. All right? The larger the meal, the more acidic you do need to keep the stomach as well, depending on the foods that you eat. So here's the other big caveat to that. What should you be drinking with a meal? Well, the number one thing to not drink with meals is ice water or anything cold. Now, a lot of times, and especially during the warm weather, people crave these ice drinks. And those are okay to do. if it's summertime or really hot weather and you're sweating, but you have to still do it away from meals because that coolness, that cold in the ice and the drink itself is going to turn down the fire in your stomach. And you need your stomach to be a pit of fire. And why is that important? Well, think about it. You cook food on a flame, right? Like you can't cook chicken soup with no flame. It doesn't happen. You can't cook fish or vegetables or all of these things without heat. And when you drink ice water, anything ice cold, it dilutes that heat. All right. That just makes sense when you think of it from that common sense perspective. And that's how I learned it. Like that just made sense to me. Like you can't pour cold water on a fire and expect that fire to keep going. Really, really important. So that means you're going to weaken the digestive system. The food's going to stay in there longer. It's going to start to ferment, and it's going to create more bacteria. That's what we don't want. So now what should you drink? Well, you could do a room temperature glass of water. That would be fine. Two best things. The first one, and my number one, is ginger tea. So ginger is a natural digestive herb, and it is absolutely fantastic for creating more heat in the stomach. All right, that's my number one. A lot of people, though, and as a number two, get a lot of benefit from drinking a glass of water, again, room temperature, with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Now, that apple cider vinegar, again, is acidic going into the stomach, so it helps lower the pH, which is what we want. And then since it has lots of minerals in it, it moves into the bloodstream, and it is alkaline. So acid coming in, just like lemon, and alkaline coming out, just like lemon as well, apple cider vinegar. So really, really important. Now, after a meal, this would be, so if you're a big coffee drinker, save your coffee or your espresso for after the meal, just like they do in Europe, okay? And the reason that is that you want that acidity right after you eat. Meaning like if you ate and took you a half hour or so, your stomach acid is going to start to kick up anyways. That's when you want your coffee. That, and again, not a lot, just a small cup. And I'm not promoting drinking coffee, but if you are going to, that's a nice thing to have after the meal if you do choose to drink coffee. Again, I'm not promoting drinking coffee, but if you're going to anyways, you can have it after your meal. It's also why red wine has been shown to be good as a digestive aid in a small amount when had with, if you're having like steak or meat or something like that. Again, I'm not promoting those things, but it does acidify the stomach, so it helps break down the food better. Cold is going to dilute the stomach acid, and drinking ginger tea, apple cider vinegar, coffee, wine, those acidic-based beverages are going to heat up the stomach. And again, ginger's not acidic, but it's heating, and that's what you want. You want heat in your stomach. So hopefully this episode made sense. This is how I learned it. It made sense to me when I learned it in this way, that cold will obviously weaken, and heat is only going to promote more of the fire in your stomach. So if you're dealing with any digestive-based issues right now, or you just want to improve overall health and longevity, this is the number one tip from Ayurveda. Make sure that you have a strong digestive system so that you do not create more ama. And ama in Ayurveda is toxins, and toxins, a lot of that comes from food. Make sure you burn up, you incinerate that food so that as it comes into your intestines, it doesn't ferment, it doesn't feed bacteria, it doesn't feed yeast. It's used for the amino acids, the fats, and the sugars from those carbohydrates. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I'll be back real soon with more episodes, including tomorrow's Weight Loss Wednesday that you won't want to miss on how to spot reduce belly fat. Thank you again for tuning into the Cabral Concept. As a loyal listener, I wanted to reward you with a special savings code for the month of July. Typically, shipping is close to $10 for the 7-day Dr. Cabral Detox. But when you enter the promo code July Detox, you'll be upgraded to free priority shipping. As you know, the Dr. Cabral Detox is the number one thing I use in my Boston practice and online to help people get well, lose weight, and feel great. Try it for yourself risk-free and start getting the results you deserve. To get started, simply go to drcabraldetox.com and enter the savings code JULYDETOX at checkout. I look forward to seeing your success story soon.